I'm pissed off. And I'm pissed off at the rest of the world because every single person around me is walking around not only so sad and so upset, but caring way too much about their external environment and letting it affect their internal being and letting it affect who they are. People are going to think what they think about you. Now ask yourself, when I think something about you, for example, how much does that really matter? Are you still going to be able to wake up? Are you still going to be able to go to school? Are you still going to be able to work? Yes, you can physically keep moving. Now, mentally, that's a different thing. When we think about what people think of us, it gets to us because of one thing, and that's ego. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how you feel. It's ego. Sometimes ego doesn't have to be like narcissistic. It doesn't have to mean that you're full of yourself. It just means that you don't want to break that frame that people see of you. So I used to have this problem. I used to feel like I have to put on this act. I had to put on this face. I had to talk a certain way. I had to be a certain way for people to accept me. That's me letting what people think affect my ego, affect my outer frame, affect who I am. What people think of you is two things. Now, I mentioned this a few times and I'm going to keep saying it almost like a mantra. What people think of you is projection and speculation. They're going to project whatever's going on inside of them, and they're going to speculate based on what they visually can see. But the only person who knows you is you. Let that sit the hell in. Because once you realize that what people think of you is projection, they're projecting what's happening inside of them, and they're speculating based off what they see and what's going on between their own life and their own trauma, you're not going to let what people think of you affect you anymore. Because everybody, just like you, is walking around like a traumatized child. Now, we might be 15, 16, 25. We might be all these different numbers, but age really is just a number, because separate the age, separate the deterioration of your body as you get older, and we all have a brain, and our brain continues to develop depending on what you're doing to it. It's going to continue to develop and continue to think deeply. But when you allow things to get into it, you're going to let them control your life. And it's messed up because you wake up every day by yourself, you go to sleep by yourself every day, you move by yourself every day, your thoughts are controlled by you. How do you stop thinking about what people think? And how do you stop letting your thoughts control you? You address them and you talk to yourself like a best friend. It took me a very long time to learn how to do this, right? We don't like being alone. We're humans and it makes sense. We like to be around as many people as we possibly can. And when we're not around a lot of people, we get anxious, we get upset. And that's when we get in our heads and we start thinking negatively. And this connects to my next point, our thoughts. We also have to recognize when we're thinking a certain type of way. So for example, if you wake up and you say, man, today's a bad day, think about that negative self-talk that you just gave yourself. Today's a bad day. Bro, it's 8 a.m. How do you even know that yet? Don't label your thoughts and don't label what's going on outside of you. When people try to point out something in you, it's because they don't want to see something in themselves. So if somebody's pointing out, oh, well, I think you should do this way. Or for example, I've had people in my life currently right now will literally call me just to tell me, oh, well, I like what you're doing, but I think you should do it this way or do it that way. Now, okay, that's cool. You could have your opinion, but guess what? Don't let somebody else's opinion stand over yours. Somebody's opinion can stand right next to yours. What people think can stand right next to you. You don't have to take it in like it's your own. And when you start to realize you're taking in a lot of what the outside thinks, you're taking in a lot of what your parents think, you're taking in a lot of what your friends think, and you're avoiding what you think, that's why you're so depressed. I was the most depressed when I was the least focused on myself. And when you lose focus in yourself and you start focusing on the negative and you let the negative control your brain and control your perspective and your thoughts, life is gonna be pretty crappy. I could go on about this topic for hours, but I'll sum it up like this. What people think of you is projection. They're going to project what's going on inside of them, and speculation. They're going to speculate, but the only person who knows who you are is you. Let that sit in. You only know yourself. So when you walk past somebody and somebody's looking at you a type of way, they're projecting and speculating based on what they think and based on their own past trauma. If they think, oh, you're being too outgoing, you're being too crazy, I wish, why is he speaking so loudly? It could be because they've always always wanted to do that same thing that you're doing. A lot of the times, you're a direct reflection of what somebody can't be, or a direct reflection of what somebody wants to be. So if you're a direct reflection, if you're a mirror of what somebody's always wanted to be, or if you're a mirror of what somebody has always wanted to have for themselves, you could really disgust and you could really disturb a lot of people. The question is, are you going to really care or not? Because at the end of the day, what you think matters more than what others think of you. And I think you're great.